Oof, that was a weak clap. Jeez, let's do that again. Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka Jay Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for the weekend of October 21st through the 22nd, 2023. Thanks so much for joining me in this video. Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful day so far. And it's a little bit later in the days, me getting to this, but I was studying. So, I spent like the last several hours studying and stuff like that. So, it is what it is. Hopefully, you guys had a wonderful week, and hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful start to your weekend. We do have some pretty interesting things that are happening this weekend. I think Sunday is the main day. It's going to be very interesting. Um, I feel like Sunday is going to be kind of one of those defining moments, honestly, for the rest of the year. And these moments kind of come in and out and stuff like that. But just looking at the astrology for that day, it's definitely one of these sort of like stamping moments where it could potentially determine the rest of your year, how it goes, or at the very least, your reaction to tomorrow is going to definitely play a key role how the rest of this year and how it continues to go forward and stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Well, let's start on Saturday, of course. Well, we do, of course, have the moon here in Capricorn, right? It will be getting ready to conjunct over to Pluto, but it won't quite do it just yet. We do see that the sun is still in square to Pluto as well, with Mercury now coming off of it. Now it's a full degree away from the sun, but they're still in square to Pluto, which I talked a lot about that on Friday's astrology forecast. But just to recap here too, you got to remember, Sun is at fall in Libra, Pluto. It's fine in Capricorn, but this is like the executioner, if you will, and us trying to find the balance and harmony in things, and probably feeling a lot of the injustices in our personal life or maybe the world around us. But this square prevents, kind of presents this sort of challenge, this sort of tension, if you will, on whether or not we can accept those imbalances and those imperfections or those maybe even impurities that we may feel in our life, and realize that we can overcome these things. You know what I'm saying? So it's about realizing that, yeah, the world may not be perfect. Things may definitely not be in balance or in harmony the way that we thought it was going to be at this point. But you know what? We can spend so much time sticking our head in the sand and complaining about it, or we can actually do something about it. And that's not to say that we need to deny our emotions about it, but the moon's in Capricorn. So whenever the moon is in Capricorn, it's definitely one of those moments where you do kind of have to just wrap up that wound. You kind of have to just put a bandage on it and kind of get going, because you can't just sit around crying over it forever. It's not that kind of energy, especially with the moon that's about to conjunct Pluto and Capricorn. This is not a weekend to just, it's not a weekend to be like, woe is me, especially with what's coming, especially with the Sunday that's going to be happening here. We had to dig a little bit deeper with that Mars and Scorpio and find that juice, find that power to get us through these moments. You have to be willing to put gas in your tank. I feel like some people in the world right now are just sitting on E, and they're trying to get people to take care of them. And it's like, yo, I'm sitting on E. It's like, well, are you going to fill yourself up? Are you going to gas yourself up? Or are you waiting for someone else to come do it for you? That's the thing. So many people are sitting on E and then expecting people to come and change their brakes for them, metaphorically, spiritually, or maybe there's a crack in the windshield and they won't fix it or whatever like that. So they're just like a dilapidated car sitting in the garage, not moving anywhere. They refuse to go gas themselves up, but they're like, oh, I gotta walk to the gas station. I gotta walk to the gas station, and it's a couple of miles away. I don't want to walk to the gas station just to get a little bit of gas, fill myself up so I can get going. It's one of those weekends where you kind of have to do that. You kind of have to just pick yourself up, and you have to do a little bit of the hard work, even if it doesn't feel fair. Yeah, it sucks. I've ran out of gas on the side of the road before. It's embarrassing as fuck. But you know what? you utilize your resources. You can't just sit there and complain and bitch and moan the whole time. You gotta do something about it. So it's like, fortunately, I was able to get some gas. This happened a while back, like back in high school, where I ran out of gas on the side of the road. Like I said, it's embarrassing, but I think it's honestly a good lesson, because sometimes we run out of gas in life. What are we gonna do? Just sit there and let the car rust? Or are we going to actually get up and do something about it? So I think that's in many ways kind of what Saturn Day is kind of teaching us. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we do see the moon hit 28 degrees, so that, I mean, it's still in square to Pluto, of course, but it'll start to loosen by this point. Mercury hits 29 degrees of Libra. That's important. Whenever you get to the last degree of a sign, it gets very, very extreme. It's like last ditch efforts as far as that goes. So Mercury in Libra, it's in the decan that it rules, and it's about to come into Scorpio. This is last ditch, like this is like last ditch, like peace negotiations. This is last ditch conversations trying to bring balance and harmony to things. This is last ditch, like uh what's the word I'm fucking looking for? Diplomatic conversations to try and save face. Or last minute, it's like, we gotta put out this story to, like, this is like PR relations type deal, where you have to like try to put out some sort of story to try to save face, to try to save your skin, because you want to be presented a certain way to people, or other, like, or the world and stuff like that. So it doesn't have to be massive, like a global scale. This could be like in your personal life, where maybe you go into some sort of over explanation today about something, or why you might have did something the way that you did it, and you maybe are trying to save some sort of relationship, whether it is a romantic relationship, whether it's family, whether it's job related. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to feel edgy, and it's going to feel like, if we don't have this conversation, that it's all ruined, because the moon is getting closer to Pluto, and the south node is in Libra, where the sun and Mercury just went over. We just had a very intense new moon solar eclipse, and we're heading towards, we're heading towards now that first quarter square to the sun. The moon's going to have that first quarter square today, which means that we are like in the exact middle of these eclipses today on Saturday, going into Sunday. So it's one of these moments where it's just like, don't feel like you have to try and save some sort of situation today. Don't feel like you have to, because it's probably A, not as dire as you think it is, and B, this is with the energies right now here. This is a time where it's like, you know what, just allow things to kind of be, allow things to happen. If you feel like you have to have certain conversations today, right? If you absolutely feel like it, like within like your gut, deep within your soul, then have those conversations. But I feel like today I will put out just a caution to this day, like a this is, you don't necessarily, today people are going to want to green light certain things, and kind of like kind of want to jump before they think. You know what I'm saying? Um, you don't want to do that today. You want to just like, don't jump the gun today. You know, there's going to be, and people are going to be trying to be very convincing about things. Mercury at the last degree of Libra here, like, still conjunct the sun, still within like a degree of the sun, coming off of that new moon solar eclipse, about to come into Scorpio. This is definitely a moment where people are going to try to be very, very convincing. And we got to remember that Mercury is still the trickster, right? So at this last degree of Libra, last ditch efforts, you know what I'm saying? This can definitely be one of those Trojan horse kind of moments, or like someone trying to present a present to you, trying to maybe, get you to stay, or get you to do something, get you to agree with them, and try to give you some sort of present. But what's in that present? Is it just masked as something else, or is it just going to be the same old, same old? I feel like some people may today fall for gifts from people, or gifts from situations. And I feel like it's going to be probably more so career based or faith based, where they're going to try and package the same shit, but in a different packaging. Like, as a last ditch effort to like fool you into believing them. Like, intuitively, like I'm channeling right now, like, this is a weekend where you can already feel that a lot of people are tired of the lies, people are tired of the bullshit from all sides, and they are done with it. This weekend is a last-ditch effort in many ways to try and get you to continue to believe in the bullshit and the lies and the deception. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Have discernment. We're going to see, we're going to see that moon conjunct Pluto today. It's going to be around 10:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and getting even closer to that exact first quarter square. Now, as you can see, of course, Mercury here at 29:42 is getting ready to come into Scorpio. All right. Sun, 28:25, almost on the last day of it being in Libra. But this moon on top of Scorpio with the edge of Mercury still building up. And it's funny, too, because the weekend is where the news goes to die. So the way that you kind of become perceptive to this, and even if maybe a lot of news stories don't come out this weekend, the way that you kind of perceive what could come out is by looking at your personal life and seeing what's happening, right? And seeing potentially like, where can I be potentially being misled? Where can I be potentially led to believe that this present that someone or some situation is trying to give me is simply the same shit I've been dealing with, just different packaging? Am I going to fall for that? So ask yourself those sort of things, in your own personal life. So when the moon comes on top of Pluto, it's going to be pretty interesting. You got to also remember Pluto rules Scorpio and the moon falls there, right? So the moon and Pluto, this is like literally, if Scorpio rules sex and Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio and the moon is at detriment in Capricorn on top of Pluto, this is literally fuck your feelings. Fuck your feelings. Like, just by the definitions of what planets rule what and stuff like that. If the moon is like your feelings and shit, and Pluto rules Scorpio, which is sex, and it's cool in Capricorn. Moon doesn't want to be in Capricorn. And these energies are squaring the sun and Mercury in Libra, and the sun is at fall in Libra. This is a fuck your feelings kind of moment come Saturday night. Fuck your feelings. Not to disregard your feelings, not to disregard the way that you feel, not to suppress your feelings. You don't want to do that. You don't want to suppress this shit. But it's like, and I'm not telling you to fuck your feelings. I'm saying you have to tell yourself, fuck your feelings. You have to be able to tell yourself, you know what? I know I feel this way and it sucks, but I know that I have the power and the capability to get through these moments. It may suck. I may not want to feel like doing this, but I have to say to my own self, fuck my feelings, because if I do this thing, it's going to get me to a better place, in a better position. But if you just sit there and you coddle yourself, you overly coddle yourself Saturday night, then Sunday's going to be hella hard for you. As soon as I said that, my freaking fridge over here did like something, made some sort of noise. As soon as I said that, which lets me know that I'm on the right track here. Going into Sunday, I want you to pay attention to this. That moon's going to hit 0 degrees of Aquarius. Now, this happens overnight, mind you. But I want you to see this too. 3:31 a.m., witching hour, right? We're going to see Saturn at 0 degrees of Pisces, Moon at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and Mercury at 0 degrees of Scorpio. We have 3 planets at 0 degrees of the sign that they are in. Whenever you hit a zero, it's the purest form of that energy. And it's also in many ways, depending upon what happens on these days, it's how that zero gets impregnated, if you will, and then turns into the one, the sun, right? So we experience this most with the moon. So whenever the moon hits 0 degrees, and how you feel is going to determine how that next 2.5 days or so is going to go for you feeling wise, and how you are reacting and responding to things. This is why sometimes you can be in a funk for 2 or 3 days, and it may take 2 or 3 days for you to get out of that funk, right? Now this happens at 3:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we're going to be asleep, right? So definitely pay attention to your dreams, especially with us Saturn in Pisces at 0 degrees, right? So definitely pay attention to your dreams. If you're, on the West Coast, you may still be awake. Shit, you may still be awake on the East Coast. Who knows? If you're partying out late and shit. Or if you're in Europe, you know, this is like what your early morning going, well, it's like your morning or going into like your afternoon and stuff like that. So you guys will probably feel this a little bit more consciously aware of it. Whereas those of us in the Americas, this will be more like a subconscious thing, right? 0 0 0, and as you can see, Mercury begins to trine over to Saturn, but it also is squaring the moon. This is going to be a moment. Sunday is going to be a day when the moon goes into Aquarius, and after, like I said, that conjunction with Pluto, and you have to tell yourself, "Fuck your feelings, fuck my feelings." You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You have to tell yourself that. Like in the third person, fuck your feelings. This is going to be a moment where people are going to desperately want to escape. Why? You gotta think about it. Saturn's been at 0 degrees for a while, and I showed you in a recent video how long Saturn has been here and kind of the importance of that, right? So if 0 degrees is the pure form of that energy, we got to think of Pisces energy. Pisces energy is literally the culmination of every sign that came before it. So whenever you hit 0 degrees, this is like when you get the study guide, if you will, and it's covering all of these other degrees. So 330 degrees, we have that study guide right now. That's a lot of material. That's a lot of. This is a wild card. A Saturn Saturn doesn't necessarily like wild cards either. It wants something to be defined. It wants to know. It wants to, it needs to have some sort of definition. It needs to have some solidity to it. And Pisces at 0 degrees, this is why time is off. This is why you definitely, I mean, a lot of people are saying there are some weeks that move by at like a snail's pace. There are some weeks that go by quick, right? And it's been weird, right? So we are in this, as a collective, we are in this massive, massive, massive review period right now, where we got the study guide, and there's so much to cover. Moon hitting 0 degrees of Aquarius, the desire to escape, especially to detach from all this stuff. But you know what's funny about that is that Mercury comes into 0 degrees before the moon exits this degree and joins up with the zero party, joins up with the pure party, right? And despite the fact that we're wanting to detach in some way on Sunday, and Saturn here at Pisces is like a wild card, which is why the world feels so crazy right now, and no one knows what the fuck is going on, and no one has who knows who has the real information out there, the true information, and why so many people are just pissed off because they're wanting some type of truth. They're tired of the lies and shit, so they're going to want to escape and detach from shit emotionally. But here comes Mercury at 0 degrees of Scorpio. That's like, no, let's get to the bottom of this shit. It's the investigator. So you're going to want to detach because you're trying to figure out the world and you can't really figure it out. But then Mercury comes into Scorpio, it's wanting to investigate shit, get to the bottom of things. So it's like it's a part of your consciousness that wants to detach, and it's a part of your consciousness that wants to become obsessively attached. And that's Mercury. That's the mind. It's hermetic. It's in trine to Saturn. So it's in harmony with Saturn, which is you're going to want to try and understand the world and why it is the way that it is. But the moon is going to want to just detach in Aquarius. You see how this can be difficult? You see how you can kind of feel like you're being pulled from different angles? Mars and Scorpio, find your power, dig deep. Venus is trine Jupiter this weekend, which is pretty nice too. So that comes to its exact point. It's going to be here at 12 degrees as well. So we do at least get a harmonious aspect. It's just kind of a weird one considering the fact that Venus is at fall in Virgo and Jupiter is retrograde in Taurus. So it definitely feels pretty weird, you know? It definitely feels weird. But I want to show you guys too something I think is actually very important as you continue this day for, because you're going to see, all right, so the moon comes off of the 0 degree point. Mercury's going to be at 0 degrees pretty much the entire day. It actually is going to move to 1 degree by 5:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? So the sun will be setting at that point. The moon will be here at 9 degrees, right? Which means that it's going to also square over to Mars. So, like I said, that's earlier in the day, mind you, but it will square Mars at 3:31. Exactly 12 hours after the 000 point. Exactly 12 hours later from the 00, where Mercury's at 0, the moon's at 0, and Saturn's at 0. You got 7 degrees, right? Which makes sense. Because that's, it moves about a degree every 2 hours, so that makes sense that it'll be at 7 degrees. So, all right, I guess technically it would be 2:31. So, or close to the 2:31. But yeah, you're gonna see. And here's the part that I want to wrap it up with, because I think this is actually very important. Because by the end of the day, you're going to see that moon hit 13 degrees, at least here on the East Coast. It'll be at 13 degrees. And you'll see the sun at 29:30, which means that Sunday is the last full day of the sun being in Libra, and it will come into Scorpio and feel better, but, it's going to trine over to Saturn too. So, and then that's when, especially like Monday morning, that's when some things start coming to light, especially with Mercury now and Scorpio getting to the bottom of things, and Mars here too. But we do end the day with the moon at 13 degrees of Aquarius, which is interesting because 1 + 3 is 4. 4 is Uranian energy. So we're definitely still going to be wanting to escape, but the awkward stare from across the room is happening to Venus and Virgo. And the reason why I want to talk about this is that, oh wow, look at that. It's a sextile between the moon and the part of fortune, at least the calculation of this. And then they're both making a quincunx over to Venus. So there's actually a yod here. Of course, the part of fortune is a calculation. It's actually kind of interesting too, because I actually have my part of fortune at 12 degrees of Aries. So it's actually really close to that point. And what I was studying on was actually the part of fortune and learning more about that. So kind of interesting how it culminates into this. I didn't even know that I was going to calculate like that. So I think it's interesting how that happens. But in any event, I think the way that we get through this weekend is by, first of all, having discernment, not falling for the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily jumping the gun and just believing everything that we see or hear. Being aware of what's happening, but not allowing it to completely dictate our emotions the way that we feel and the actions that we know that we need to take so we can move our life forward in a positive direction. digging deep with that Mars. But here's the thing with that Venus and Virgo is that, yeah, it is in fall. It doesn't like to be there. But I think the way that we get through this too is that there's going to be this awkward shift from across the room with the moon. After all of this, to Venus. You thought you was going to be able to get out of your service to humanity, but you can't. That's the thing about this. Venus is in Virgo. This is about your daily service. And with the quincunx over to the moon, which is in Aquarius, which is in many ways the people, the collective. Capricorn is like the structures. Aquarius is like the actual people. There has to be some sort of service to humanity. I think that's the way that you get through this. It's awkward and may feel weird, right? Because maybe you feel like you're trying to find your way. Maybe you're trying to feel like, maybe you're trying to sort out your day-to-day life and stuff, Maybe I hear so many people now where they're like, I can't stand people or I hate people. People say that. And I think it's sad that we've gotten to the point where people don't like people. I think it's sad that we've gotten to the point that people would rather just hermit it up at home all the time. There's a time to be a hermit and there's a time to be out there. But there's so many people that just want to be a hermit 24/7, 365, and they can't stand people. They hate people. They don't like people, and they don't know how to deal with their triggers. They don't know how to deal with their emotions probably. And it's like it can be tough, and they don't like people. I love people. Are there some shitty people in the world? Yeah, but also a lot of the things that I love, just about at least like hobbies wise, are because of people. Someone invented video games. Someone invented, books. I like at least when I was younger, I loved reading when I was younger. Right? But yeah, someone invented video games. I love video games. Someone invented Pokemon. I love Pokemon. Right? Someone invented all of the stuff that I'm using to make this video. Someone made it because they were inspired by God. They had a vision and they brought that shit to life. They brought it to physical manifestation. Humans here are the conduit of spiritual creation. God creates through us. So when you're saying that you hate people, it's like you're saying that you hate the co-creators. You hate the conduit, which sucks. I think it's terrible that we've gotten to a point where people don't like people. And let's look, it's not that, and when I say that, I mean like humanity at large. I'm not talking about like an individual person that you're dealing with. This is not Gemini. This is Aquarius, right? If it was in Gemini, it'd be another story. That might be like one person, right? But this is Aquarius. This is everybody. This is humanity. So you have to find a way to be of that spiritual service to humanity. And with that moon in Aquarius, after this crazy weekend with Mercury at 0, the moon at 0 at one point, Saturn at 0, a freaking sun that was coming off a square to Pluto, right? And Mercury coming off the square, a moon on top of Pluto. We still have to, through all of that, find out how we can be of spiritual service to humanity. That is the challenge this weekend. But y'all don't hear me though. But y'all don't hear me though. I say all that. Y'all don't hear me? I forget. I'm a Sag rising Mercury in the first, okay? Like, I probably could make it as a preacher, but like I probably seriously could make it as a preacher. Like I really could, probably. But I'd rather use those skills in other ways, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe I will use it to, do like in-person lectures and presentations and stuff. So when I get going, where do I get going? Two of Pentacles in reverse. I like to look at the Two of Pentacles. I like to look at the Two of Pentacles as the card of momentum, and when it's in reverse, it means that you're like killing your momentum. So don't kill your momentum this weekend. There's like a danger to that. We also have the High Priestess. Oh, there you go. You have to have the intuition here. So maybe there's certain things, maybe there's momentum in certain things that need to be killed to allow other things to be born. Or you have to ask yourself, do I really need to kill the momentum in this particular situation? Is it actually going to be a positive thing or a negative thing? Am I overthinking things? You know what I'm saying? Am I getting too much in my head? Well, bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Cups in reverse. Six of Cups in reverse. I think this is just like, because it doesn't really feel familiar, there's not a familiarity with the situation and stuff like that, that maybe we are having this propensity to want to definitely detach. I think the Six of Cups in reverse is just us realizing that the world that we thought we knew is changing forever. So the momentum shifts this weekend. And we have to have the wherewithal, the emotional intelligence, maintaining vibrational integrity to know how to navigate these waters. You can see in this card, there are ships in the background on top of these waves. You see that? So how do we navigate the waves of life? You know what I mean? The Six of Cups is in reverse. So this is something that it's not something that's familiar that's going to save you. It's going to be something that is new, that's going to come in. It's going to be a spark. It's going to be inspiration. It's whether or not you act on that inspiration. You know what I'm saying? This is not something, it's going to be something that, like, it's interesting. I think it's something that we all have already, but it's probably something that's just not in like the front of our consciousness with that Six of Cups. So it's as simple as this, really. If you want change in your life, you got to be different and act different. You can't just keep doing the same shit and expecting a different result. So, yeah. And I have to learn that lesson too. We all have to learn that lesson. So, And anyways, that's going to do it for your astrology forecast this weekend. I hope that you all enjoyed it. I hope this assists you and guides you on your journey this weekend. And hopefully you guys have a wonderful, beautiful weekend. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it if you're not already subscribed. If you are subscribed, I appreciate your subscription, and share this with your friends, share this with your family and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure if you're subscribed to this channel, you're probably the annoying one in your family. It's like, I have these astrologers that I follow and this is happening, that's happening and stuff. But, show them a couple of these videos, stuff like that. I want to try and make these to where it's reachable to people. You know what I mean? To people that may not necessarily understand a lot of the lingo and the language of astrology, because it is a language ultimately. And, hopefully I can do a good job of translating this so it can be better received. So, but I thank you so much for joining me. Y'all have a wonderful weekend, beloved. I'll see you on the next astrology forecast. Peace.